Hello, footy fans, and welcome to another episode of How Good is Rugby League. And Michael, I feel like for the 100th time, the podcast name is going to be Origin Blues. I feel like we're always here. Good evening.
Yeah, always after round one, it just seems like we always have to make changes to our team. And unfortunately this year, though, like in this game one, we can't start any Origin discussion without what happened after the first 7 minutes of the game. And that is, if you've been living under a rock and you're listening to this podcast, where were you? After 7 minutes, Joseph Suoli'i ran out of the line, sprinted out of the line, got it very, very wrong, and collected Reece Walsh with his head, with his shoulder straight to the chin. Reece Walsh left unconscious in the back play. Play went on for about 20, 30 seconds, came back. And after 7 minutes in the game, New South Wales were left with 12 men after Suoli'i was sent from the field. Not sin bin, sent from the field.
Yeah, that just it's a rush of blood. It's adrenaline from the debutant. But what a debut! You know, Nico last year, he was 12 minutes and then out. This is like half that time. We're picking him. We can really pick him.
Look, I'm going to stick up for Joseph here.
Oh,
okay.
Of course you are.
To start, for one,
I'm shocked.
You might be one of the only New South Wales fans who's happy to see Joseph get sent from the field because he's a Roosters player. But his first 6 minutes were fantastic. That first run that he had where he absolutely ran over Tom Dearden, amazing. And he looked like he came out and he was aggressive, right? He unfortunately, and the word that I keep on hearing is unfortunately, he got it very wrong. And it's cost himself, it's cost his state, it's cost his team. And he has come out and said all of that.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, I initially thought Reece Walsh is falling. Is he, is it going to be a sin bin? In Clubland, it's a sin bin every day of the week. In the 77th minute of State of Origin, it's a send-off, every day of the week. Right? In Clubland, it's a send-off every day of the week. And I think that everyone was just so up in arms because it was the 7th minute of game one of Origin. This is our marquee event every single year. And it seemed like the game was done and dusted after 7 minutes.
Yeah. But, in the post-match, has there been, maybe I've been living under a rock, but I haven't seen much conjecture that it should not have been a send-off. I think the game has come far enough now where it's kind of like anything above the neck is being sent. Like they're just cracking down on it. And after all this crackdown on concussion and you go to the sin bin, like anything that's like remotely high now, Mike, is a sin bin, okay? This knocked him out. It was shoulder to the head. There was whiplash. And I know we shouldn't be sending off on the severity of what happens on the field. But at the same time, like that tackle did not just rule him out. It ruled out two of the marquee up-and-coming superstars of the game. And I think Ashley Klein got it right. And I'm not saying it because he's a Rooster, because genuinely, I don't think that has anything to do with it. But I just think that tackle, any day of the week, is a send-off.
Yeah, that's what I've come to the conclusion on after reflecting.
Yeah.
Right? Like in the heat of the moment, I was like, that's the wrong decision. It's going to cost the league money. It's going to cost us the game. It's going to cost the series, everything. Like it's just a cataclysm of just events that are bad for rugby league, right?
Yeah.
But it is the right decision, and we have to applaud Ashley Klein for making it.
Yeah.
Right? Not many refs would pull that trigger.
Yeah, and the audio picked up that he told the bunker that's what he was thinking of doing. Well, it didn't come from the bunker. He said, I'm probably gonna send him off. Like he made that decision, and I actually think it's the right call. It ruined the whole game, and it made it so difficult to enjoy it because you just knew the result after 7 minutes in a game that New South Wales needs to win. And I think, unfortunately, unless the Blues can conjure some miracles, the series was over after 7 minutes, and I think that's the part people are most pissed off about. Other than the fact that it was a send-off. Because you can't say that the send-off is not justified.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this was game one in New South Wales.
Yeah.
It's a completely different story if it's game one in Queensland,
Yeah.
right? Because then you think, oh, we have a chance, right? We might as well already have lost this. Like we might lose this game anyway. It's Suncorp. We struggle here, right? Game one, New South Wales. That's the game that we needed to win, right? To gain momentum heading into Melbourne, and unfortunately, that's not the case
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. So obviously that was a blight on the game. Some things I liked from New South Wales once they got into their rhythm. Okay. I thought that a lot of the picks Madge had made, I could actually see those 1% plays. Like there were 12 on 13 for a lot of that game. Queensland's got a lot of points because of the overlap, but there are a lot of 1% plays from Robson, Stephen Crichton, Liam Martin. There was just a lot of energy and a sort of like desperation play. And I thought, I can see why these guys are in the team.
Yeah, I thought that for the majority, like our team played well.
Yeah.
Right? There was a couple players who probably didn't have their best performance. I thought most of the debutants were phenomenal. Zach Lomax was one of the best players on the field for New South Wales. Spencer Leniu played 23 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most impactful 23 minutes I've seen from a New South Wales player in a very, very long time. He was amazing. Right? Hamale Olakawatu was good off the bench, doing what he needed to do. Stephen Crichton, you mentioned, just defensively, I think one of the big problems that New South Wales struggled with was when Suaalii got sent off, they struggled to adjust quick enough.
Yeah.
Right? I messaged you straight away, we need to move Crichton to the right and bring on like Hudson Young and play him at centre.
Yeah.
And it took too long because they were defending with Nico at centre. He can't do that. And the moment they moved Crichton, we settled the storm a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. I think that was one of the key takeaways from me. But once the bleeding stopped, we were good. We were strong. That first 20 minutes after halftime was amazing.
Oh, I texted you and I said I think we were 4-0 up in the second half. But fatigue was always going to play a role once we're down to 12. I have to say. One thing I would have loved to have seen, that grand final last year changed my perspective on Nathan Cleary, Mike. And I actually thought after that game, he could chuck what Cherry Evans did last night and do an Origin masterclass. And I would have loved to have seen Nathan in that environment. Obviously, it's the what if. It can't happen. But Nathan in that environment, I believe, gets us there. With what I saw in those 1% plays, plus Nathan in that side with the kicking game to actually control and calm things down and have composure, I think it's a different contest. Having said that, I think the halfback has to change for game 2.
I agree. Look, I think Nico had a really tough time. One, he lost his centre outside of him in the first 6-7 minutes of the game. Two, I just don't think his long kicking game was there all game. His options were poor. Some of his fifth tackle options, even when we were on their line, were poor. He got that kick to Lomax, I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But he had 29 runs.
Yeah. Right?
It's a lot of that was because he was putting himself in position where he wasn't able to make plays. And this is the thing with Nico. I don't think he's an Origin 7 yet. Remember, he's only been playing 7 for 3 years. I think he could be a solid Origin 6.
Yeah.
We just need that long kicker of the ball. And that's why I think Mitchell Moses comes into this side.
Yeah.
He looked great against the Sharks without Nico, obviously, but he looked fantastic. And I would not be surprised if he gets brought into this squad as the number 7. Whether Luai keeps his spot, I'm pretty sure he will. He looked like one of the only people on our team who could actually create anything. This team was always going to struggle to find points, especially and then when you go down to 12 men, makes it even harder. But Luai was the one who looked the most dangerous, even though I don't love the way he plays sometimes.
I wasn't wrapped on it. There was a point where in our own 20, he's running around, going backwards, hospital pass. I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to create spark, but he's going to stay. It is always for some reason it defaults to Luai every time. He is the default 5'8", and I don't really know why it's warranted, especially without Cleary there. But I think if fit, I would like it's going to be Moses and Luai. I would almost be playing Moses and Walker.
Well, that's what I said to you yesterday. I think Walker should come into this side. It was the team that won last year, game 3.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a dead rubber, but Walker was the man of the match. He looked great. In terms of another, like Suoli'i's going to get a 4-match ban.
Yeah.
So he's not going to play. The next game he could possibly play is game 3, because the Roosters have a bye this upcoming week. There's 1 week, then he would get picked for Origin, so he'd be out of that. So there's just the next possible game he could play is game 3.
Yeah.
Don't see that happening.
No.
All right. You need to bring the centre. I think Stephen Crichton needs to stay on that right side. I think to help Zach Lomax defensively.
Yeah.
And the name that is on everyone's lips, the game breaker that we so desperately need, is Latrell Mitchell.
Yeah. Last night he went to Mr. Wong's. He was avoiding Chin Chin because of Braith, obviously. Look, if he's up to it, let him do it. In that environment, fine, but based on the team that Madge is picking, I'm not sure if that's what he wants. Like, it's probably what he needs, but he is the opposite of a lot of those people. Like, these are like hard-working, under-the-radar personalities, and Latrell is the self-described Tari Ferrari.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that is a perfect thing for him
to
get him back on track.
Yeah.
And, maybe like he is the antithesis of a lot of those players. Maybe that is something that we need.
Yeah.
Like I said, we struggle for points. But if you have him on the end of a back line, he can score points that no one else can.
Yeah.
Right? That is his skill, especially at centre. Like, when he's going up, he'd be going up against Val Holmes, who wasn't great last night.
Yeah.
And we'll get to Queensland in a minute. He could be devastating. I also think that Tedesco started the game really well, had a pretty poor second half, and if Dylan Edwards is healthy, I'd bring him back in.
Yeah, I think so. The talk in the first 10 minutes, it seemed like, oh, Teddy, and like he was good, but I felt that he lost his mojo after the Roosters send off as well. Well, not after the Roosters send off, but as the game progressed, I think he got the sense that it was all a bit too difficult. He tried, but I actually felt he over-egged.
Yeah, and I think he also ran out of gas a lot. Like a lot of those fast breaks, it was him versus 3 players or 2 players, and trying to make the play, trying to chase, and it wore him out completely. You could see it in that Ben Hunt try where he ran away from Tedesco, just broke the tackle. He was the whole team, and the scoreline doesn't reflect how well New South Wales played. Yeah, they ran away with it a bit late because they just ran out of fumes, and a lot of that is to do with. I don't know. I wasn't happy with the construction of the bench going in. Yeah, well, I think we definitely need a utility on that bench because we lost the centre. The centre is probably the most crucial defensive position other than fullback. Yeah, who organises the defence, but defensively, centre is such a difficult position to play. When you lose a centre, you need to bring in another centre on the field, right? Yeah. Even if one goes down injured, you need to bring another centre onto the field to stop the attack. They had Reece Walsh out the back, right? Lightning fast. They replaced him with the Hammer, who is maybe even faster. Yeah. Right? And just you need someone with a bit of pace and a bit of speed to be able to make those defensive reads. Yeah.
I can't understand this. So Jake played 29 minutes. Yo 47, Olakau'atu 23, Lenu 23, and Hudson Young 23.
Those could be all smushed into 4 players instead of 5 players.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's just, especially Jake. Jake is the one to me that doesn't make any sense. I know that Lenu is an impact player, but Jake's numbers are so low. And if he's your captain, he needs to be. It reminds me of when Kurt Gidley was on the bench for captaincy. Throwback to the Laurie Daly era.
Yeah, that decision not to bring him back on with 20 minutes to go didn't really make sense to me either. No. I don't quite get it. Madge saying it was hard to get him into the game. He's your captain. He needs to be on the field. Yeah. Right? Come on. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
As I said, it was a strong performance for New South Wales given the circumstances we were dealt. I thought they really showed, like, you can see what type of team this is, right? It's a gritty, tough team, and they tried as hard as they could for as long as they could. It ended up, it was a foregone conclusion anyway. You're not going to win a game of Origin with 73 minutes with 12 men.
Yeah.
It's just impossible to happen,
Yeah.
right? But the team put in a really good effort, and I think we can. There is enough in this team to win game 2 and game 3.
Oh, well, we need like I don't know, Mike. I don't know. Can I be really honest? Like I look like our back line, and I know we've just spoken about the changes, but you look at the strike in that back line, and you have a ready-made replacement for Reece Walsh in the Hammer, who is just like one of the greatest footballers to watch. And Cobbo comes on, and I know you said Holmes had an ordinary game, but that game management from Cherry Evans, and then even to have Hunt, who is like a game manager in himself, is like they're just in complete control. And I don't know if we can. I would love us to, but I don't know. I have to see like significant changes because I think there's an element of like we can compete, but even when you lined up those two teams against each other, it was Suali'i and Lomax. That was always the precarious side before kickoff. It was always going to be the risky side. It was the two people on debut, and then we just looked so exposed.
Yeah, I tend to agree that their backline has an insane amount of strike, and that's why I think we need to match it with some strike of ourselves, right? You mentioned 2 players. The 2 players who were fighting for man of the match. DCE got it on the night.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. That 40-20 that he kicked. When Hines couldn't do it, he was just like, hold my beer, let me show you how to do it, young one.
Yeah.
Kicked a 40-20 perfectly, right? And that basically ended any chance New South Wales had. It just killed any momentum of the game, and they ended up running away with it from there. His game management was amazing. Even that first try, when it was 13 on 13, he just sees the quick right, the darts out of dummy half, hits Ben Hunt, try. On the supposedly good defensive side,
Yeah.
pick Luai out, just ran straight for him, and then drawn past, hit Ben Hunt. Amazing, right? Then there was the Hammer, who has played 5 Origin games.
How do you describe him? He's like a gazelle. It just glides. Does a gazelle glide? Like he just like a swan. I don't know. He just hums along the field. He is just in full flight. It's one of the most beautiful things in rugby league at the moment.
Would you say he glides on the water like a dolphin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Okay.
I'd rather he run like a rabbit, you know.
But yes, the Hammer, 5 games,
Yeah.
8 tries.
Yeah.
He's 22 years old. He also saved a try by Spencer Lenu. That effort to hold him up was incredible. Like, he is built for this stage. He's so good, and Origin just brings out the best in him.
Yeah.
He's incredible. It's almost like they didn't lose a step when he went to fullback. He was fantastic, and I can't sing his praise enough. He's 22.
Yeah.
He scored 8 tries. The record is 18 by Greg Inglis. He plays 10 more years. He's going to shatter that record.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's actually nuts. We spoke about Cherry Evans. Well, one of the things that I was thinking, I was watching that intercept, and I was thinking, how many Origin games seem to end like that? Just that Queensland moment where they're all so happy, they've got their try. It's summer, like Lockyer doing it, Cherry Evans, Ben Hunt did it a couple of years ago, Munster, and I'm just like, do they train for that moment? Do they train for that?
I think a lot of that is Terry Evans knew that Isaiah was going to pass, and it was just
why did he pass?
He waited for it.
Why did we get back into? I thought we dropped Panther ball. Next minute, Yo's at first receiver and passing the ball out the back, and I'm just like, we tried these last 2 seasons and we lost. Move on. He's like the halfback from Penrith isn't even there. Why are we playing Panther ball?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think Isaiah Yeo is an amazing clubman. Amazing. But on the Origin level, his game just doesn't translate, unfortunately.
No.
And unless he's playing like a 30-minute prop role, which I don't really see him doing, I just don't see him
No.
making a go of it in this side and actually adding to our attack. Defensively, he's great, right? And he had some good runs, but it's just little things like that where I'm like, he needs to. I prefer him not to be in this side and that be given to someone who runs with a bit more impact, has an offload, something like that. We don't need his ball playing.
Yeah. You need like a Glenn Stewart type. I don't know why I thought of that. But that's what we just it's not enough mobility, I think, from him. It's just too like stop, turn, pass. I don't know, like very successful, 3 premierships, can't fault it. But like these guys are on Origin, they've got nothing to their name, no records to their name. Why do we keep picking them? Why do we keep picking them? It's the big game experience, big game, 13 on 12. What did you do?
Yeah, I tend to agree. Anything else that you want to bring up from this game? One thing I did love was when Walsh came off, Billy jumped out of the coach's booth, caught the elevator down in the field, and had a word to Hammer just to make sure he got his point across.
Yeah.
I thought that like little things like that is why Billy is an absolute genius of this game. Also, having Cobbo on the bench worked a treat. Like, why did we ever doubt? No one should have ever doubted it. I never did. Like, it came in handy. You mentioned Ben Hunt. I thought he was fantastic as always.
Yeah.
And my favorite player in the game. He's my favorite player in the game, and he never. I don't know if I've ever seen him have a bad performance.
Who?
It's Patrick Carrigan.
Oh yeah.
He's so solid.
Yeah.
He's so solid. Just does his job perfectly. You know, even sometimes you forget that like he's put in this amazing performance because it's just expected from him. He's the future leader of this team. He does everything right, and on that stage, he's incredible.
They just make it look so easy. Like that's the thing that's so frustrating. You know, there was all that talk today about Nate Miles, assistant coach for Queensland, said to Swelly, "Hope you enjoyed your debut" and all that. And like they've got Nate Miles, Cronk, Slater, Smith, Thurston in camp, and we're like, we have no winners. We have 12 years of like nothing, no more than that. Like it's nearly 2006. How many series have we won since then? Like 4. And it's like we are in a vicious cycle, and you can see it repeating what happened the first time they went 8 in a row, is that we've lost all sort of feeling about the New South Wales Blues, and we've brought in Michael Maguire, who never played Origin and was never involved in Origin camps. And it reminds me of when we thought the solution in 2010, 2009, 8 was to go with Bellamy, as if Bellamy was the solution. And I don't know, I thought this might be it, but from what I've seen so far, and there's a long way to go, and I know there was a send-off, and wow, he's so dramatic, but I'm like, what I'm seeing is not what can beat that just winning DNA that they have.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree. And I don't think Queensland had a great game.
No.
Like they were fine. They got the job done. Maybe they were a little complacent because it was 13 on 12.
Yeah.
But like that wasn't an amazing performance. I don't think Billy would be walking away happy with what happened.
No. Because they like Cam Smith sounded stressed in commentary at one point after halftime. The Blues had all the ball. Mind you, I think Ashley Klein was giving away more 6 agains than he needed to.
He gave away 2 on the same play.
Well, I mean, that's ridiculous. And, but like Queensland weren't great, but they find a way to win. And here we are again. We've lost game 1 and we're like, what changes? Last year we got to game 3. We changed the team so much and we finally win. And it's like, well, we can't have 3 games to pick the perfect team. And then we default back to the original team for game 1. And we pick the same people we'd originally dropped. It just, enough. Right. I'm sick of losing. I've just got a club that's coming last, a state that sucks. Roosters doing well. It's just not my year, Mike.
I feel so sorry for you.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Okay,
It's not easy being a South supporter, honestly.
let's leave the Origin chat there,
Yeah.
and we will come back to it. I'm sure in the next week or so. Teams are announced, not this Sunday for Game 2, but the Sunday after that. So we'll go into depth about that, I am sure, in our Origin 2 preview. But there is still an NRL competition going on, despite what some people think. And obviously, fans are showing it with their feet. They've stopped caring a little bit about this round and these rounds that lead into Origin. The season kind of takes a back seat. And last weekend, 5 games, all 5 favourites lost, which we don't normally see too often. We have a few games. We have 7 games this weekend, starting on Friday night.
Yeah, so the Women's Origin is tonight. We're recording just before that, and we'll probably touch base on that next week because it's...
honestly, like, they're my only hope at the moment. Our women get Origin. I don't know if our men do, but our women get Origin. Yeah, so let's go sell out in Newcastle. I can't wait to sit down and watch it tonight. And we'll definitely discuss it next week. But yeah, let's hope for the series sweep in that one so we can at least save some face, because the men aren't going to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so there's, as Mike said, the 7 games this round. I think we'll just run through quickly and get a tip. That's probably the way to go, because Mike needs to get his seat on the couch. Friday night, Dragons host the Tigers. This one is in Wollongong. Dragons, Flanagan's being praised. They had a good win, okay? Fairness, they had a good win against Penrith, but it was a depleted Penrith team, and all the commentary, despite the fact, Dragons got absolutely pumped by the Roosters. It's Flanagan has turned this ship around and they're doing so well, and And I'm kind of like, okay, they're doing well, but there's still issues. But I think they win this one.
They're really inconsistent. They have a good win and then they have a really bad loss. That's been their problem.
And a shocking press conference after the bad loss. That's the key, isn't it?
We didn't bring up that he won the 2016 Premiership this week. I didn't watch a press conference. Look, I think the Dragons win this as well. Aiden Caesar's still a week away, and I think he's a big... he will help the Tigers a lot. They're just not there yet, the Tigers, and I think they're destined for another wooden spoon. They're kind of the odds-on favourite at the moment. In a bit of a tailspin on 8. Emanuel's fist pumping 8.
Yeah, we have cameras now.
It was on me at that point.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Do you want a fist pump again for us? There we go. All right. And then obviously, Tigers 8 in a row. Benji's been in Fiji. Don't know how well they're going to...
Yeah, and the Dragons have Hunt, Sewer and Lomax backing up. I think New South Wales players are going to be pretty hard because there were 12 of them. So like an extra, 8% effort levels or something like that. So we'll see how they go. On Saturday afternoon, the Titans host Souths. Cody Walker will play in a huge boost and will partner Whiten. This combination was meant to happen before the bye in the Para game, but Walker got injured. And for the Titans, Jaden Campbell's been listed on the reserves and could come into the side on game day. Mo Fotuaika is set to back up, but Origin is going to affect all the teams this weekend, I think.
I think Souths win this. Souths have shown a little bit the last couple of weeks, and Titans still have a few injuries. Obviously, no Brenton still. I think they get this done.
Yeah, I don't know. Gold Coast is pretty good against Brisbane. These two teams can't defend. So the final score is going to be 54-52 or something like that. But we'll see. As long as we're 54, I don't really care. Okay, then the Saturday 5:30 game, Cowboys and the Warriors, Queensland Country Bank Stadium. So obviously all those players for the Cowboys that might have to back up. So we'll see how they go on that one. The Warriors... Nickel Clockstar has been named at fullback. Wade Egan at hooker, Rocco Berry at centre, Adam Fanua-Blake and Capewell and Tohu Harris are all likely to return. So big boost for the Warriors, who are just treading water at the moment. Should be interesting, but away game.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Cotter played a lot of minutes. Robson played the 80.
Yeah.
Dearden obviously played the 80. I expect
Tuolangi, Holmes, Nanai.
I expect all three of them. I expect actually for most of them to back up. Maybe not Robson. Warriors obviously not affected too much. Johnson probably a week or two away still with that pec strain. Tough one. It was a really good win by the Cowboys against the Roosters last weekend, but I'm going to go the Warriors, I think.
Yeah, that was a good win. Broncos Sharks Saturday at Suncorp. So obviously Reece Walsh won't play. Nico wasn't named for Cronulla and will rest his niggling calf. And so Cobbo's likely to play fullback for the Broncos, and Karapani will be recalled to the centres. But given Cobbo played 73 minutes, who knows what's going to happen there. And Carrigan and Haas a good chance of backing up. So 2 Origin affected teams. So let's see how we go. But I would be putting Brisbane ahead on this one.
Yeah, I think without Hines, I think Brisbane get it done up there. Walsh out this week. He's also out against the Bunnies because of the 11 days.
Yeah.
So his next game will be Origin 2. Assuming he'll get picked, obviously pending a physical fitness test and whatnot. But yeah, I think the Broncos get this one done.
When's Ponga back? Is he he's not season, is he? But is he out for all of Origin?
So I think he's back around 22.
Yeah, 23. So right after Origin. Okay, Storm hosts the Knights on Sunday afternoon. Grant and Coates are named to back up. And for Newcastle, Saifedi's been named despite suffering a knee injury against the Dogs. Jack Hetherington's a likely replacement. I think Melbourne.
I think Melbourne as well. Apparently the fullback for the Knights, Armstrong, might be in a bit of doubt to hold his spot.
Yeah.
Knights ran off the park by a Dogs team heavily affected by Origin, and the Dogs look like a much better team than they did. I'm going to go the Storm as well.
Yeah, awesome. And Panthers versus Manly Sunday at Bluebet. So Penrith's Origin contingent is set to play. Dylan Edwards has been named in the reserves, but is expected to be available, and Dane Laurie set to wear the number 1 again. For Manly, all 3 of the Origin players are set to back up. Should be a good game.
If Dylan Edwards plays, I have some serious questions about why he wasn't in Origin. I know it's 5 days later, but still, that is, I don't know if I like that. I'm going to tip the Panthers.
Maybe they didn't want to run the risk.
Then pick it back on the bench.
But Teddy's unscathed. What are you worried about? He got his. If they won and Teddy won, you would be like, Edwards, no. I don't know.
No, like he was the guy picked. If you're able to go 5 days later and play for your club,
he's in the reserves. I don't know if he's going to play, Mike.
Yeah, it's something that I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah. Okay.
He obviously needs a game though under his belt if you're going to be picked for game 2. I think. I took the Panthers in this one. Manly beat them earlier on in the season. I think that's Penrith will want some revenge. And yeah.
Yeah, they're an interesting situation at Penrith. Like their big win against Cronulla, and then just, I don't know. Let's see how they get through Origin. I still think the team to beat, but dropping off a bit. I know Cleary's out as well, but it's just, it's something that will come out of Origin and be like, oh, they're there. Okay.
They don't look invincible at the moment. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, but I just don't know who's gonna pip them. To be honest, like Roosters on their day, very good roster, but then you see a performance like last weekend, and I know players out. But anyway, sorry, I'm having a lot of shots at the Roosters.
That's new.
Bulldogs Eels Monday at Accor Stadium. 5-day turnaround, meaning Stephen Crichton would be a very good chance of playing. Burden should play as well, given he's the 18th man. And for the Eels, Talangi is the man to replace Bailey Simonson in the back line, while the rookie named at centre and with the rookie named at centre and Sean Russell moving one position out to the wing. Jermaine Hopgood is well placed to back up as well after Origin. Ryan Madison has been included in the wider reserves as he works his way back from illness, but his return date still unclear.
Yeah. So this is a Monday game.
Yeah.
So I expect almost everyone to back up from Origin unless there's injuries.
Yeah.
I'm going to tip the Dogs in this one. I know Mitchell Moses is back, but I think the loss of Bailey Simonson really hurts. Madison is actually dealing with concussion-like symptoms. Has had headaches for the last couple of weeks. He got a head knock a few weeks ago and just hasn't seemed to recover from it. And I remember a few years ago he had a stint on the sidelines with concussion as well.
Yeah.
So it's something to monitor going forward. Eels look like a much better team though with Moses and Govison back. Just their ability to control the game, Moses' long kicking game. That right side just becomes so much more activated. Pensini had his best game of the season with Moses there. Moses actually has won 3 of the 4 games that he's played this year. The only loss came against the Panthers. So
Yeah.
can they make a run? Is it too late? I don't know. This will be a really good test. The Dogs have been an amazing defensive team. So I think I'm going to lean with them at the moment. They seem to find a bit of points as well.
So if New South Wales lose Origin, right?
Yeah.
And Parramatta go on a bit of a run, does this put Trent Barrett in the box seat to be the coach? This is getting a bit of a reputation as the Anthony Seibold of
Would you do that to yourself?
coaches, isn't he? Like, just sort of pops up. Yeah.
I wouldn't do it, but we'll see.
Food for thought, hey?
Yeah.
I saw someone went from the Tigers to Manly the other week.
Jake Simpkin.
Jake Simpson.
Yeah.
You know who his manager is?
Hooker. Isaac Moses.
That's right. It continues. Okay, Mike, running through your tips. Dragons over Tigers on Friday night. Souths to beat the Gold Coast Saturday afternoon. Cowboys over the Warriors on Saturday afternoon.
No, other way around.
Other way, Warriors.
Yeah.
Broncos to beat Sharks. Then Sunday, Storm over Newcastle. Panthers over Manly. And Monday, Dogs over Parramatta.
That's it. The Roosters get their first bye of the season along with the Raiders and the Dolphins.
Who played a great game last week.
They did play a great game last week. Max Plaff, amazing player.
Yeah.
Isaiah Katoa is a future Origin star, I
He
believe.
is, yeah, but he is incredible. Is he a blue?
He is a blue.
Oh,
Barker College boy.
is that right?
Yeah. That would leave the Cowboys with the only team not to yet have a bye. They get a bye in round 16. A few teams have had 2, but almost all teams have had a bye heading into the mid part of a season.
There we go.
Should we end it there?
I think so.
All right. As always, please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. We will be back with a regularly scheduled round next week on Tuesday. Obviously, this is a Thursday night after Origin.
Yep.
But Emanuel, as always, how good is rugby league?
How good is rugby league, Michael?
Thanks, guys.